Shoots, scores! 2-1 San Diego.
The Gulls get out of the gate in a fantastic fashion.
Shoots and scores! Game over!
We'll take you down on the ice for some end-game intensity with Simon Benoit.
Leave that!
And we'll help you get to know the Gulls defenseman.
I think that was the first time I played hockey outside in front of my house.
And the Gulls aren't letting the need for social distancing get in the way of their community efforts.
Pepper loves hockey, morning, noon, and night.
We'll have that and plenty more on Gulls All Access, presented by California Coast Credit Union.
For Carrick, wrap around.
Hello and welcome to Gulls All Access, presented by California Coast Credit Union. My name is Andy Zilch, here in beautiful Coronado Island. The San Diego Gulls opened their season just 2 weeks ago, and we have a lot to cover this episode regarding those games. I'm here with BJ McPherson, and let's talk about some of the games that happened this past week and week and a half. Let's go back to the home opener. And it was a great home opener. The fans weren't in the stands, but still, a lot of good gusto from that team.
Yeah, and that's the sin that the fans weren't there, because what a way to start the season. Getting that first one under their belt, I thought the rookies were the ones that led the charge.
We'll go deeper into the impact of those rookies in just a few seconds. But first, let's hear Chase DeLeo's thoughts on playing in an empty arena during opening weekend.
I'm thankful to be at Great Park because I can live at my mom and dad's house about 30 minutes from here, so that worked out pretty nicely. But obviously nothing really compares to our fans that we have in Pechanga, especially tonight would have been the Friday night $2 Bud Light night, so those get pretty wild and pretty loud. So I gave a stick tap. I have my cutouts of my farm animals that were in the first row and my dog. So I was pretending those were the loud fans at Pechanga. Not quite the same, but it's been a long time off, so we're more than thankful to be back, no matter what the situation is.
The Gulls took the victories from the Bakersfield Condors. Let's talk about the third victory that they had of the season against the Ontario Reign. Very uncharacteristic victory. When you have 2 5-on-3s that you have to kill, when you're being outshot almost 2-1, you generally don't skate away with the victory, but the Gulls found a way.
Well, that's the difference in the win, and it's the difference in the team from last year to this year. When you can be outshot pretty much 2-1 in the game, kill 2 5-on-3s in the third period, and still muscle that game out with a 2-1 win, good teams find ways to win, and that's what the Gulls are doing right now.
Let's talk about Trevor Ziegras, who was named the CCM AHL Player of the Week for his performance, and a dominating performance at that as well.
Well, Trevor Ziegras, he went from the World Juniors all the way to the start of this season, but in the exhibition, he had 3 games with 2 assists in each of those games. He starts out the home opener with a goal and 2 assists, carries it right over to the next night with another goal and an assist.
Well, and BJ, there was a lot of rookies that made their professional debut during the course of that weekend against Bakersfield. You had Jamie Drysdale, who during the course of that weekend, he had 2 points to lead all defensemen on the San Diego Gulls roster. Very active on both sides of the ice. Let's hone in on him and talk about Jamie Drysdale.
Well, that's the big thing when you talk about defensemen. You don't need to look at them and have the goals and assists to make a difference. Scoring's always going to help, but Jamie Drysdale, what you're going to see out of him is a freewheeling defenseman. Reminds me of Brandon Montour, Shea Theodore, but might even be that much better of a skater.
Well, and the other rookies that made their professional debut, you had centerman Bo Gruel, winger Braden Tracy, also goaltender Lucas Dostal. There's another guy we can talk about, and I think fans are starting to get the hint. This guy is the real deal and an excellent prospect for the Anaheim Ducks organization.
You got to remember, Lucas Dostal is barely hitting 21 years of age, and what Coach Kevin Dineen talks about him, calls him cool as a cucumber. The guy doesn't flinch. He seems like he's been here before and done that. And believe me, in the 2 games, he was a star each night.
Well, we've talked about this time and again. Your rookies are just as important as your veterans. And let's pave way to some of those veterans. Obviously, it's led up front by Sam Carrick, but there's a lot of key contributors throughout this lineup that are helping with that. You got to groom some of these young players. You got to show them the ropes. So it's not just rookies that we're going to hone in on. Let's talk about that veteran group.
Well, what Sam Carrick brings to you is he'll get on the scorecard, but even better than that, it's his plus-minus over the weekend. +5. You go 2 games in the American League at a +5 clip, he was able to bring everybody with him. Can talk about Chase DeLeo, what he's brought to the team this year. He's been talking about it, his workout sessions he's put in to come into this season. First 2 games are really showing well for Chase DeLeo.
Well, in addition to that, on the blue line, you have some good mainstay players. Josh Mahura and Simon Benoit, each 3-year pros. They're now leaned on to get a more veteran leadership role. But also, you have the good veteran in there, the former captain of the Bakersfield Condors, the guy who's been around the block several times, Keegan Lowe.
Well, what Keegan Lowe does, I think, is a lot like Simon Benoit. Again, you can't have 6 or 8 defensemen, all freewheelers. You got to have some guys that get under your skin. Simon Benoit, the way he throws that French-Canadian body around the ice, believe me, guys are looking over their shoulder when they're making line changes.
Well, let's now talk about the coaching staff, and it's the second year that we're seeing head coach Kevin Dineen. Assistant coach Sylvain Lefebvre is back again for a 3rd season, as well as David Urquhart, the other assistant coach. That's where it starts. The top is where you get your culture in the locker room. It's carried over from Coach Dallas Aikens, but it certainly resonated as Coach Dineen's team.
Yeah, Coach Dineen didn't get a full season to start his first year here in San Diego, as we all know. But what it is everybody's bought into his system early. And the core group of players that are back for the 2nd season, those are almost like secondary coaches to give Coach Kevin Dineen that much louder of a voice.
And to break down the coaching staff a little bit more, don't forget too, you have assistant coach Sylvain Lefebvre, who is a former Stanley Cup winner. Now, BJ, fans might not know this, but he runs the defensive side of things, and he also runs the penalty kill. Quite an asset to have on the bench.
Well, we've seen that the last 2 games. We're calling the games, the bench is right in front of us, so we get to see Coach Lefebvre talk and do the X's and O's, and right now the penalty kill for the Gulls is flying high.
And you have David Urquhart, who runs the offense. In addition to that, he runs the power play. That's been tic-tac-toe, very quick, and a lot different from what we've seen in years past. But David Urquhart's a guy who comes from McGill University's playing days and coaching days, and he's a guy who also has some AHL experience with the Hartford Wolfpack, but another good addition to this roster.
Well, when you have a head coach like Kevin Dineen, you could take it and control everything, but he gives his assistant coaches the freedom to give their coaching job, and that's where you get 3 minds are better than 1.
You might have recently noticed fans were able to get their face inside 5 Point Arena for Gulls home games. Thanks to Screwball Whiskey fan cutout section, that was made possible. We're proud to say that Gulls fans really came through because the cutouts were immediately sold out. Fan cutouts began at 5 Point Arena on February 5th and have remained since. The cutouts feature fan-submitted headshots, and each one will be signed by a Gulls player and will be available for pickup at the conclusion of the season. The main focal point of the concept was bringing all proceeds to benefit local nonprofit Big Table, which helps those in the restaurant and hospitality industries who have been impacted by the pandemic. Stay right here. When we get back, we'll listen in on Simon Benoit as he dishes out some defense for the Gulls.
You go!
And we'll also hear from Chase DeLeo as he donates his time for a great cause for kids as Gulls All Access continues. You can listen to the games from your phone or tablet, get live updates, stay up to the minute on Gulls news, and be a part of the team. So download the Gulls mobile app for iOS and Android devices today. Welcome back to Gulls All Access presented by California Coast Credit Union. Just this past week, I had a chance to catch up with Simon Benoit, and the Laval, Quebec native was able to get mic'd up on the home opener. So let's take a look into that one against the Bakersfield Condors.
Yeah, squeeze! Yeah! Opposite way, but that's fine. When I yelled hard, he went away, so that's fine. We'll take it, yeah. He's gonna go over, I'll skate it up. Yeah. if it's not there, yell no. Yeah. Do I need to go get the red line right away? Sure. Hey. Over top. Wheel. You go. Going through it, you're fine. Oh wait, big boy. Ben's mental. You mad you lost that draw, bud? You mad that you lost that draw, bud? Don't get under the skill gas. You're fine. I never saw nigga. Never saw him. Leave that!
If we're winning, you put the puck back. If we're losing, you carry the puck.
I didn't know that one. I'd like to see Mo try and snap it right away. Yeah. I'm coming over top and wide open. Go.
Simon, you grew up in Laval, Quebec, so give us some hockey memories and maybe your first hockey memory that you have growing up.
I think it's just playing outside with my big brother. I remember I had those little skates with those like two blades because I couldn't skate, so I had to put my boots in, and it was like two blades so I could like stand up. I had a little stick. I think that was the first time I played hockey outside in front of my house because like every winter there's a ice like outside rink, so we used to go there.
As you moved along through your career in junior hockey, or even before then, was there a moment where you decided that you wanted to take this game on professionally?
For sure, like when you're a kid and you watch the Montreal Canadiens, like you always dream to play for that team and everything. But I think I realized that I could play pro when my second year in junior. I kept working, and then when I had my chance here, just like opened the doors, and I keep working to reach my goal.
You're embarking on your third season with the Gulls. Do you view yourself as a leader, or is that something you even concern yourself with when you walk through the threshold of Great Park Ice?
I think when somebody has a good work ethic and always there to work, ready to learn, I think it's created a good space for other players to do the same thing. So when they see me working hard and practicing hard, working on little things, I think it encouraged them to do the same, especially with the young guys. But I think when the coaches gave me that letters time to time, I think it's just to tell the young guys, like, if you work and you do the right thing, you're gonna get rewarded, and by doing it, I'm just giving the good example, and I think that's why the coaches have confidence in me.
What is it like being a San Diego Gulls player?
We have a tight group, right, where we have a good group, and we're just trying to bring that positive experience every year and make it like a tradition, I would say. So through all the years, I think the values of the team have been the same, and it's just fun to have a team that it's fun to play with, you know? It's a good working environment.
A big storyline this season is the no fans right now. What type of impact does that have on you?
So it's not the same experience, especially in San Diego. We had a good crowd every game. The Friday and Saturday nights were just awesome. Everybody was just screaming when something was happening on the ice. So for sure I'm missing that part of playing in San Diego. So I think for us it's just a year that we have to concentrate on ourselves and be ready for when the fans are coming back, because we're going to be ready, and I hope they are, because it's going to be good.
Up next, we'll hear from the leader of the AHL regarding all that it took to get the season started and all that's being done to keep it going.
The one thing that came through loud and clear was nobody wants this season to affect next season.
AHL President and CEO Scott Howson is coming up next as Gulls All Access continues. We want to hear from you about someone you think deserves recognition for the time he or she put into making your neighborhood and community a better place. You can nominate your hometown hero until the end of this month by going to sandiegogulls.com/hero. On Valentine's Day, the Gulls set a team record, winning their 5th game and 5 tries to start the season. This one again in dramatic fashion, courtesy of 18-year-old Jamie Drysdale.
Got a seam. Drysdale in, shoots, and scores! Game over!
Of the Gulls' 5 wins to start the season, 4 were decided by 1 goal, 2 in overtime, and 1 with just 4.7 seconds remaining in regulation.
Finds Lowe, shoots, scores! Keegan Lowe finds a loose puck in the slot. 2-1 San Diego, 4.7 left.
The first 2 weeks of February have proven to be successful not only for the Anaheim Ducks, but also for some recent Gulls grads. First, forward Troy Terry. He's picked up 2 different 2-point nights.
Troy Terry chose to pull the trigger.
First coming on February 5th against the San Jose Sharks, and second against the Vegas Golden Knights on February 9th. Isaac Lundestrom scored his first NHL goal on February 6th against the San Jose Sharks
And scores!
and followed it up with an encore performance the very next game, scoring another goal against the Vegas Golden Knights on February 9th. Finally, Max Comtois had a fantastic start to the month of February.
Backdoor for Comtois, score!
On February 5th, he tallied a 2-goal performance and followed it up the very next night with a game-winning goal and a shootout against the Sharks.
As the Ducks prevail in a shootout.
He continued his torrid pace with an assist on February 9th against the Vegas Golden Knights and scored the only goal in a 1-0 shutout victory.
They got one here in the third.
On February 11th, once again against the Vegas Golden Knights. We hope to see many goals make an impact not only this season, but for several years to come, and especially with the young crop of talent that we have here in San Diego this season. The AHL season is of course underway, and it was no doubt a challenge to get to where we are right now. I was able to catch up with the president and CEO of the American Hockey League, Scott Howson, to get his thoughts. Scott, can you give us a little insider opinion of what some of those challenges were to get a schedule, get a start date, and get us playing hockey again?
Yeah, it was as you said, there were big challenges along the way. I guess the first thing we did was we put together a return to play task force, which was made up of 5 NHL general managers, an NHL owner, and then 6 or 7 of our top business people, presidents in the AHL. They met periodically over the summer and into the early fall and kept giving us what the plans would look like. And I think the one thing that came through loud and clear was nobody wants this season to affect next season. We are all certainly very hopeful we're going to be back to a normal calendar with fans in our buildings, but also we had to deal with the players, and the players were going through a very uncertain time, and this season was going to be different. And we have no revenue coming in, or very little revenue, and we're a gate-driven league. So we had to make a deal with the players, and that was a pretty heavy lift for both the players and for us. We got that done.
You talk about the NHL general managers being a part of that return to play committee. How instrumental were their opinions and the relationship? That obviously it's a strong bond. We all know that the NHL and AHL work together, but I'm sure that that just reinforced that we're all working together as one to push forward and get hockey going again.
Well, they were critical in just giving their advice and insight on what they were looking for, because as we got further and further into the calendar, this season was going to be about essentially one thing, and that's development. The development of our players and our teams, our NHL partners. And as you know, we have 19 of our teams that are owned by NHL teams. So it's a very close bond, as you said. And it just became clear that they wanted to play because they didn't want their prospects sitting out. The Gulls are a great example of that. I mean, the number of high-end prospects that I've seen even play some of your preseason games has been great. And the one thing that I'm sort of sorry about. I'm glad they're on their ice, but I'm sorry the fans can't see them live because it'd be an really exciting team to watch. I'm not going to be at ease until we get through this season, we get through it safely. So far, from what I've seen, our teams are up to the challenge.
Thanks again to Scott Howson for taking the time. And speaking of taking time for others, recently Chase DeLeo spent part of his day reading to kids, socially distanced of course.
I'm here with Oliver, and Chase is at his family's home. Hi Chase, how are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
In order to break the ice before we get started reading here, Chase, can you tell us a little bit about the pets that your family has?
Yeah, absolutely. I've always been a big animal lover. It's just that unconditional love that they always give to you. And we have 14 dogs and 3 horses, 4 pigs, 3 goats, rabbits. We have about 5 cats and then 3 birds. So I think it's close to about 30 animals total, and it just keeps growing. So it's one big happy family over here.
Hey, our favorite part of the day when we make some time to make reading our goal. So Chase, without further ado, I'll let you get started with hockey morning, noon, and night.
Hockey, hockey, hockey. And here are some of the equipment that we wear. I think the helmet is probably the most necessary to protect our brains. Tomorrow Hill Wick, still filled with delight. For Pepper Loves Hockey, morning, noon, and night. And that is the end.
Thank you so much to Chase for your time. We're going to go ahead and let you hop off, get that rest that you need. Got some more games coming up.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Bye, Oliver.
Thank you again to Chase DeLeo for participating in the Reading as the Goal program. And the team will not stop on their community outreach throughout this season, even despite the COVID-19 restrictions that have been put in place by the county. That'll do it for this episode of Gulls All Access. Be sure to check us out next week. We're going to have a chat with the Carrick brothers and get them together on a one-on-one battle, and we will have much more to come for that next episode. For the cast and crew, BJ McPherson, my name is Andy Zilch. This has been Gulls All Access, presented by California Coast Credit Union. Thank you for watching.